Live from the streets of the Golden State, welcome to tonight's broadcast of the Fuel Racing League here on the North American Sim Racing Network. Tonight, it's the Fuel Grand Prix of Long Beach here on the streets of Long Beach. And a pleasant good evening, everybody tuning in to tonight's live coverage. The Fuel Grand National Series here on the North American Sim Racing Network as we welcome you to Long Beach, California for tonight's live coverage of tonight. Tonight's 25-lap affair here around the streets of Long Beach. My name is Trey Wright from the North American Sim Racing Network, joined once again by my good friend and co-host, Mr. Kenny Campos. We are ready for some great, good old-fashioned street racing here tonight on a legendary track on the open-wheel side of things. Tonight we take some stock cars around this just under a mile-long street course. And Kenny, we have got some street racing in our blood here on the all-around NR2003. Of course, the long-awaited reveal of Navy-based Coronado coming up this weekend over on the NASCAR side of things. But here in NR2003 and here in the Fuel Grand National side of things, we're going to remain in the Golden State. We'll remain in California, but we'll be a little bit north here. But it is so much fun. These street courses are going to be a blast, that is for darn sure.
Yes, and after this, I'm heading off to the Queen Mary nearby. To the Queen Mary ship, to be honest. Just to sleep for the night.
And it is going to be an absolute fun one here tonight. And of course, this whole weekend is bound to be a ton of fun, as got a couple of cars lining up on the back straightaway, getting ready to do a mock restart. And if you remember back to the last street course we had here in the Fuel Grand National Series, you've got to go about a year ago at this point. The last time we ran on a street course, that was, of course, the Chicago street course back in season number 6 of the Fuel Grand National Series. Feels like an eternity ago. It's hard to believe it's already been about a year since that street race, as Vincenzo Focasato will lead the drivers in a mock restart. So everybody's gathering up, and it looks like we are going to be doubling up here on these restarts. With about 7 minutes to go in practice before we'll set the grid for tonight's 25-lap affair. Right now, 22 cars in the Surfer. We are expecting about 24. And the proverbial green flag out and away. Is Anthony Luckadoo back in the 13 machine. He's bringing sponsorship from Marlboro. They'll be passed by the rest of the field. And well, to say, Kenny, that this is a very interesting racetrack would be a massive, massive understatement. 10 turns make that 11 turns. And all of them very interesting as Blake Warren goes around through the South Chestnut Place corner. Right in front of the Aquarium Way statue and that Dale Earnhardt Jr. number 83 throwback. Getting a look at a couple more cars. Tyler Stallhood back in the Blink 182 Take Off Your Pants and Jacket car that he ran at Nashville a few weeks ago. He's got his brother Corey Stallhood back in the 81 machine and making his second ever start here in the Fuel Grand National Series and third ever in the Fuel Racing League. Drew fast in the Valvoline 4 car, a little bit bent up as Ace Racer being passed by the 81 car. Paulo Hyde, your winner from 1 week ago at the Pocono Raceway. And that 100 machine trying to drive around. Actually, in fact, if the 81 car of Stallhood is to take the green flag tonight, Kenny, remember he did not make it to the green flag 1 week ago at Pocono, so he is looking to make his first career Grand National start here tonight in car number 81. He is going to have a stacked field to do so, Kenny.
Indeed, and I think this is probably the first, right now, as the commentator, first one to see the two brothers, the Stallhood brothers, probably might duel it out.
It'll definitely be a battle to watch out for here tonight. Again, like we're talking about, 22 cars on track, but look at our race analysis for tonight. 25 laps around this street course. Now again, we ran 20 laps at the Chicagoland street course last year. Of course, that track a little bit longer than Long Beach. but this track seems a lot more technical than that track at face value. Take a look at the 11 turns. It starts off with a right-handed 90-degree turn, where if you completely overshoot turn 1, your race is going to end, Kenny. We'll take a look at it here once Apollo Hyde comes back around. We'll take a look at the track itself once more, but Apollo Hyde, your current points leader, right now has a 26-point lead over Will Goss coming into tonight after 4 races have been completed in season number 9. Drew Fast currently 72 points behind Vincenzo Focusato, currently the only other driver within a double-digit amount of points behind. We'll take another look at the point standings here in just a moment. We'll go on board with Apollo Hyde as we take you for a lap around Long Beach. Going into this opening corner here for turn number 1. You see those tire barriers? You don't want to go into those tire barriers, Kenny. Up through the S's towards the South Chestnut Place of turns 2 and 3. Really good line there for Hyde. Off towards turn number 4. Little wide entry there, turning right onto West Shoreline Drive. Most of this course making up of West Shoreline Drive and East Shoreline Drive. Makes a right-handed turn onto South Pine Avenue. Up the hill goes Hyde. We'll make another right-handed turn on East Seaside Way. Down East Seaside Way, past the Long Beach Performing Arts Center, over on the right-hand side of the screen, off towards turn number 9. Turning back towards East Shoreline Drive, through the parking lots of the Convention Center, back through turn number 10 and off towards the hairpin of turn 11, turning right back onto East Shoreline Drive, tapping the wall a little bit there on the inside, making up a full complete lap here on the streets of Long Beach, California, just under 2 miles in length at the start-finish line. It is certainly going to be a lot of fun here tonight, Kenny. Of course, when you come to these street races, you don't really know what to really expect on these courses. So we'll go ahead and fix our camera. But Kenny, talking with Apollo Hyde last week, she was not really that enthusiastic of coming to a street course here tonight. You know, with Apollo Hyde not being that enthusiastic, it's really going to open the door for anybody on this very specific discipline of racing here tonight.
Yes, indeed. And also, this street course mostly is designed for sports cars and open wheelers, not really designed for stock cars like these. So, but at least in NR2003, you're able to do it, unlike pretty much iRacing.
Yeah, a track like iRacing, it is not the greatest, but a track here, or in a version of NR2003, as we'll follow along with Grant Warren, he'll go through turn number 9. You can definitely pull it off. This is the open wheel version of this track, which means it is pretty gripped up. I believe I don't have a whole lot of grip on the edited version by Tate Dorsey and Apollo Hyde. So there's Vincenzo Focusato in that 37 machine. I'm trying to remember what the sponsorship on that car is. It is Merino, I think. You know, for somebody that's lived in Japan for 3 years, you would think that I would know how to read kanji, but I'm just going to go with, that's the Merino Mazda for Vincenzo Focusato. Back fourth in the point standings, as we'll take another look at the point standings. Focusato in that 4th spot, and Ike Durbin raising up a spot after a solid finish at Pocono last week, 120 points behind the 100 of Hyde. Then Amiski Zato with a great run at the Truckee Triangle 1 week ago. She's up to 6th in the standings. Tyler Stallhood up to 7th. Dunlaprod I don't believe he raced at Pocono last week, if memory serves me right. He's fell down to 8th, Bristol Bennett down to 9th. Blake Warren remains in 10th, and Trek Togger and Rich Roy round out the top 12 in points with pretty solid finishes up in Long Pond, Pennsylvania 1 week ago. Of course, this is right in the middle of our 3-week stretch where it is a lot of random tracks. We've got Pocono last week. That's a known commodity for a lot of these drivers. Long Beach, the streets of Long Beach, a little less known. Ben Twigg is going to be a complete question mark for a lot of these guys next week, Kenny. We'll talk about that a little more on the broadcast, but 3 different disciplines before we get back on the ovals at the Superspeedway of Anchorage for the Endless Pride 150, sponsored by Apollo High. That'll be taking place on July 8th. And actually, I forgot about the Chicagoland Speedway between Bent Twig and Anchorage. A lot coming down the pipe here, but of course that's then, this is now. We've got quite a few cars still out on track. We've got quite a few cars looking to get things going. I don't know. I'm liking where Emmy Schizotto is right now. She's currently sixth fastest in practice, as we've got about 30 seconds to go before we'll get qualifying going. But, you know, I'm liking where Vincenzo Focusato's sitting right now. I'm liking Nicky Conti. I'm liking these drivers that are typically the best on the road courses. But, Kenny, who have you got your eyes on coming into tonight as Hyde will top practice?
Well, I can assume that Hyde would be one of the great, right now, probably one of the highest choices because of the fastest practice time.
And we're going to quickly reset the server here just to make sure that everything is A-OK. And once again, when we come back, once the server has been reset, we'll once again go ahead, reload things. Server has been reloaded. Looking to get back in here, and we will. And I believe we might be going back out here for practice. We'll have to see if we're going to be getting an additional 5 minutes of practice, and I believe we will. Can't say I've seen this before, Kenny, where we're going to get an additional 5 minutes of practice just so everybody can shake things out, I believe, before we'll officially get qualifying underway.
I mean, technically, I guess the best excuse for now is that this is one of the toughest street courses out there, and that's being raced on tonight.
Certainly going to be a lot of fun as everybody will come off of the pit lane. There's Ace Racer in that 64 car, so gives all the drivers one more chance to try and beat Apollo Hyde's time of a 1:19. Stallhood, he'll go up in the tire barriers, and that'll be the end of his practice run. We'll have to see who else is out on track. We did see a couple of relatively new drivers. We mentioned Anthony Luckadoo back in the 13 machine and Corey Stallhood in that MSD 31 car. 81, I should say. We do have James Moore making his debut, making his first run in the Grand National Series since Season 6, I want to say, for the driver of the 04 car. If we see it on track, we'll point it out. A lot of drivers out in here. RJ Bishop, another one to watch out for. He loves these flat courses and is pretty well on the road courses as well. He's pretty good on these niche tracks too. His lone win in the Grand National Series coming last season on the back straightaway at Daytona, so he knows how to race on these makeshift ovals and road courses, these makeshift courses, I should say. He definitely knows his way around. Same thing with the 84, that clown vomit car of Crystal Bennett, just about hanging the back end of that car off in turn number 1.
I'd say the toughest part on this course is getting into the pits, as it's already at the end of the hairpin, of the second hairpin.
Certainly a challenge for a lot of these drivers, and here's a guy we haven't talked about yet on the broadcast, Victor Nunez, coming out here in the 54, making his second start of the season, and you couldn't ask for a driver that was more excited, as he's going to give Apollo High a little bit of a love tap going through the aquarium corner. Those two are going to do some dueling burnouts, and yeah, we'll go ahead. And actually, we're a little bit slower than we would like to be. You know, we're gonna go ahead and back up the camera. It's Victor Nunez doing a burnout there. He's gonna go back to the pits. You know, we'll follow along with Corey Stallhood. We'll just see the outer part of the track. We've got about 2 minutes to go here before we'll get qualifying underway. And this is a very scenic course, Kenny. You know, for a street course, you wouldn't think that it's gonna be all that much, you know, in terms of the detail, but guys who made this track Absolutely a big round of applause for them. Of course, you've got the palm trees. It wouldn't be a race in the Golden State without the palm trees. You got all the surrounding buildings. You've just got a lot of detail on this track. You've got some highways. You've got just a ton of detail, making it really feel like a street course. Dunlop is going to join us in car number 74. We'll go ahead and reset our camera. So it looks like we're going to be getting 23 starters.
Which is a lot for a street course.
Definitely is. I'm trying to remember how many starters we had at the race last year. We'll go ahead. You know what? We'll go ahead and look that up. We've got about a minute to go. I have my YouTube page up. Come on, Grant Park 65K. How many entries do we have? How many entries? Come on, YouTube, work with me, work with me. Well, YouTube works with me. Still trying to get things going. I believe it was somewhere in the ballpark of about 20 entries last year. Trying to find the if I had a finishing order in that race, because that was back in the era of where I tape delayed the broadcast, was recording them, and we actually had 24 cars starting in that race for the Grant Park 65K. So we're currently one short of the last street course that we have ran here, as Corey Stallhood is going to hit the inside wall. Oh, what happened to Apollo Hyde? She just died in turn number 1. Goodness gracious. You know what? Let's find out what happened. Let's go to the replay, folks. Well, that's what happened. That is not what you want.
And if the drivers right now would see the original course of Long Beach from 1976, they'd probably prefer that than most, I guess at least some would prefer if it was considered easier than the course today.
As Hyde. Oh, that is not what we wanted. Game crash at the worst possible moment. That is fantastic, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think I don't think we've had our game crash like that during the replay in a while. So we apologize for the technical difficulties on our part. And we'll go ahead and get things reestablished here. And we'll go ahead and get things reloaded. Dunlop top of the charts in the second practice session with only a handful of moments to go before we'll get things back going. And it looks like that will do it here for practice. We'll move on to the qualifying segment for tonight's 25-lap affair here on the streets of Long Beach. We'll see who will go ahead and go to the top of the charts, but while we're get qualifying underway, we'll go ahead and take a quick time out here on the North American Sim Racing Network, your home for the Fuel Grand National Series, as well as the entire Fuel Racing League. Plenty of action down the pipeline. We'll get into our upcoming schedule on the other side of this break as the grid will qualify for race number 5 of season number 9 of the Fuel Grand National Series here on the streets of Long Beach, California. And we are back here at the streets of Long Beach. Qualifying has been wrapped up here as we now go into happy hour. And no surprise to see Miss Apollo Hyde sitting on the pole position, looking for that second win in a row. As we take a look at our JRI Shock starting lineup, 16 cars put down a lap time. As you can see, all the drivers out there ready to go here as Apollo Hyde, Vincenzo Focusato sweeping the front row. With Drew Fast, Don LaPrade, Nicky Conti, and RJ Bishop will round out your starting six. Dyke Durbin, Anthony Luckadoo will be rounding out the back end of the grid. And Apollo Hyde, you know, we're talking about it, Kenny, as Will Goss, I believe he may have changed cars potentially. That might be a slight issue in the 82. This is going to be a fun race here tonight, Kenny, that is for sure. Checker flag has fallen here as Corbin Wentz in the 88 machine comes to a stop. Still trying to figure out some of the paint stuff here, but it is going to be a very fun race. Once again, 25 laps, about 62.5 miles. Since we're on the road courses, point of no return will be with 3 laps to go. That'll be on lap 23. About 2 seconds of tire fall off, and these guys are going to have to come down the pit lane only once tonight. And again, this is a very technical track where the majority of the track is going to be on West Shoreline Drive and East Shoreline Drive, so just Shoreline Drive in general. It is going to be interesting, like we were talking about. There is that 84. There's a 29 of Crystal Bennett and Rich Roy. Only a handful of laps to go and a handful of moments to go before we'll send things downstairs. We'll go downstairs ourselves as we get ready to set the grid, or as we get ready to set things off and wave the green flag for race number 1, race number 5, I should say, of season number 9 of the Fuel Grand National Series here tonight. And Kenny, who is your pick to win tonight's race here on the streets of Long Beach? Actually, Kenny's out walking his dogs right now. You know, that kind of slipped my mind. So we'll go ahead, potentially start things off without him. But down on the back straightaway goes the grid. 21 cars to grid up here on the streets of Long Beach. And they'll be led to the green flag by the idol number 100 Pride Subaru of Apollo Hyde, looking for 2 consecutive wins. We'll see what these guys and gals can do here on the start of this race, but we've got to get to the start first. We'll take a look and see what these guys are able to do, but we'll send things down trackside for the most famous words in motorsports to fire the engines for race number 5 of the season, the Fuel Grand Prix of Long Beach.
Drivers, start your engines.
21 cars come to life here on the streets of Long Beach, California, as we are ready to rock and roll for race number 5 of the season. Apollo Hyde sits on the pole position with Vincenzo Focusato to her outside. 2 championship adversaries from 1 year ago starting on the front row. Don LaPrade looking for his first win of the season. Drew Fast looking for his first career win in car number 4. RJ Bishop and Nicky Conti will round out the starting 6. Through turn number 11 goes the field. Pace car already down the pit lane. Hyde and Focusado will lead a field of 21 cars strong towards the Reese's restart zone. Towards the restart box they go, awaiting that green flag to wave in the air. Still waiting for the flagman. There it is. We're underway for race number 5 of the season. Let's go racing in Long Beach. And already we hear some cars going around. Corey Stolhood around on the front straightaway, and the yellow flag will fly as an incident in the opening corner of the race. Will put us under the caution flag to start things off. Not the start of the race that we wanted here tonight, as the caution flag is out right before we went even green. Field will come back around. Not sure what happened, what the issue is with Will Goss's car. But that blue 82 was the Supercuts car. Watch him come back around. The yellow flag has come out for the opening time tonight, and Paulo Hyde will lead them back. It's not the start of the race that we were envisioning. But we'll go ahead and once they come back to the caution flag, we'll review what happened. It's James Moore, Rich Roy, looks like they were caught up in it. We saw this 81 of Corey Stolhood being put high into the air by the 88 of Corbin Wentz, I believe. Ace Racer trying to get out of the way of everybody as the caution flag will come out. Close at the line between the 60 and the 101 of Taylor Stolworthy, as well as the 60 of Trek Togger, as we're under the caution flag for the opening time tonight here on the streets of Long Beach. We'll take a look at what happened on the initial start of the race. Didn't even get a few feet. We'll see what happened. We saw Rich Roy go in wide right off the start. A little bit of a checkup there on the start. Rich Roy was 3 wide. Hit the wall, turned the 81 sideways, back out in front of traffic, and it was actually Anthony Luckadoo that hit Corbin Wentz, so I had that a little bit shuffled up. We'll get one more look at it here. Not the way that you want your Fuel Grand National career to start if you're Corey Stolhood. And we'll get another look at it as Nikki Conti, she didn't get going from the 3rd lane on the inside. Corbin turns the 81 car around. Nowhere for Corbin Wentz to go, and Anthony Luckadoo just pile drives in. So, not exactly what you want. And Kenny, if you're back, your takes on that an opening caution flag of the night. I believe Kenny Campos still out walking his dog, so it looks like we'll be just a one-man show for the time being. See if anybody will come down the pit lane, as the pits will be open this time by. And we are going to get 1 or 2 takers. RJ Bishop, Crystal Bennett, Taylor Stolworthy, Tyler Stolhood down the pit lane. So it looks like the majority of the Lap Car Enterprises cars will hit the pits, with the exception of Drew Fast, who will stay out. There's RJ Bishop down the pit lane in car number 48. Hyde, Focusado, and company will all stay out, as Drew Fast will move up into the 2nd spot after starting in 4th. Starting in 3rd, I believe, actually. We'll double check where Drew Fast started. He indeed started in the 3rd spot in that Valvoline Charger for Lap Car Enterprises. Lights still on the pace car, and looks like we might be getting the 1-to-go signal later on in this lap, as everybody will come out and away. Nobody should be off of the pit lane. Nobody should be a lap down, I should say. Ike Durbin down the pit lane on lap number 2. Same thing with Tyler Stolhood, and they are going to be able to mathematically make it to the end if this race goes caution-free. Because, again, these drivers can do about 23 to 25 laps, so right at the ceiling of what these guys can do is the race distance. And these caution flags are definitely helping out a lot, but these guys I don't think they want to risk it, and they'll try to come down the pit lane now while they still can without losing too much time. So lights are off on the pace car. We shall be trying to get back going here. So there's Corey Stallhood. We were talking about him making his Fuel Grand National debut here tonight. Second ever start in the Fuel Racing League. Will Goss in that 82 car. A little bit further back. Not sure what, I'm guessing he probably changed cars a little bit late and didn't put it in the game. Or didn't put the car in the car file. I'm not sure what happened there. Pace cars down the pit lane as the field will double up through turn number 11. And everybody will get back reset as they approach the caution flag to turn into the green flag here with 21 cars still remaining on track of the 21 starters. Green flag out and away. The Stallhood brothers collide, come into the green flag as Drew Fast spun the tires. We'll see, can we survive the opening set of corners as Vincenzo Focusato looking to get through. We got some contact between the 83 and the 101. Here we go into turn number 1. Does anybody overcook the opening corner? Corbin Wentz gingerly driving through, and it looks like we're able to get through one turn A-OK. Through South Chestnut goes the field. Everybody able to get through the small hairpin around the fountain. Corbin Wentz slow in the middle of 3 wide as Ace Racer. And off back onto West Shoreline Drive goes the grid, and they're led by the 100 of Hyde. And how about Emmy Schizzato? We mentioned her earlier on in the broadcast. She is really good on these road courses. Her only win in the Fuel Grand National Series, an exhibition win at the Pensacola Roval last season, or 2 seasons ago, I should say. She has moved her way up from starting midway through the field in the 7th spot as she overcooks the corner. Same thing with Fast, and around goes the 97. Gets run over by the 37, and the caution flag comes back out. Just wheel hopping through turn number 9. Nowhere for Vincenzo Focusato to go, and the caution flag will come back out for the 2nd time tonight. And the commentators' curse coming out in full force. And it doesn't look like Schizzato is going to lose all that time. It looks like she'll drop from 2nd down to 5th. But that is gut-wrenching for a driver that was trying to run up through the grid, as Corbin Wentz has retired from the race. That'll bring us with 20 cars on the grid. Rich Roy bringing up the back end of the field. And the pace car has picked up Apollo Hyde out of turn 5 on West Shoreline Drive, and the caution flag back out for the 2nd time tonight. Not the greatest start to the race that you would want, but again, with 20 cars starting, one of our largest fields that we've had this season, and again, you know, a big props to the guys here at the Fuel Racing League for everybody that has come out in full force. You know, I think this is the 5th consecutive race that we have had 20 or more starters, and it has made for some really competitive races. I think the lowest field count I can remember in my time being here was maybe about 11 or 12 back in, God, was probably a race before my time. But we've always had some pretty healthy field sizes here in the Fuel Grand National Series, and this season alone, we've seen a lot. I think somewhere in the ballpark of about maybe 35 or 40 different drivers have all come through, as Apollo Hyde will remain out on the pit lane, and Emmy Schizzato will come down. Same thing with Drew Fast, Will Goss, and a handful of other cars. And they will give up their track position. Drivers will move back up. And we'll get the race restarted next time around here at Long Beach, with the majority of the field coming down the pit lane with 21 laps to go. We'll get this race restarted with 20 to go. And her pit stall is the 97 of Schizzato. Take a look at what happened to put us under this opening, this 2nd caution flag. Zemi was running in the 2nd position, fell down to 4th, And we saw this happen live. Wheel hopping, going through turn 9. Just hit the corner, went way too wide, and had to check up and then got hit by the 37. Fortunately for Will Goss, that caution flag came out when it did, because he had just about sent it wide into the tire barriers. Same thing with Drew Fast, as we'll see from our other angle here. We'll follow between LaPrade and Fast. You're going to watch this 4-car. Yeah, he completely blew the corner. Somehow kept it out of the tire wall. Same cannot be said for Will Goss, who completely stuffed it in there like a Taco Bell tortilla. Actually, we didn't even show that replay. Wouldn't even show it. We'll do it again. So we'll show it once again. Fast completely blows turn 9. And then you see Will Goss right behind him. He does nose that 82 car into the tire barrier. Fortunately, all these drivers are able to remain in the race. And we'll see what's what. Hyde and Focusato have not relinquished their positions. Dunlaprade will rise up into the 3rd spot. Nikki Conti will be in 4th, I believe. No, it looks like she'll be in 5th. And how about Tyler Stallhood? Came down the pit lane during that opening caution sequence, and he has recycled his way up inside the top 5. We'll restart this race in the 4th position, with RJ Bishop right behind him to round out the starting 6 with the green flag back out and away. Here on lap number 6, and here we go once again at Long Beach. Better restart for Vincenzo Focusato. He and Hyde side by side. Who's going to be the first one to break 3 wide through the opening corner? And Vincenzo Focusato will take the race lead away, going up around the aquarium. Everybody moving their way up through here as Nikki Conti, as well as Emi Schizzato, trying to drive their way through the pack on those fresher rubber tires. Corey Stallhood making his way through here as well, and Tyler Stallhood up to 4th position. Hyde looking to find a way around that 37 car, back around onto South Pine Avenue. Focusato will lead for now. It's weird to see Vincenzo out here leading at a road course like this, especially at a street course. This is a man and a driver that really shines on the dirt tracks, as well as super speedways. But you know what? You never know what you're going to get with Vincenzo Focusato, and we're seeing it all here, all now. The field will transition back on East Shoreline Drive, trying to get a green flag lap logged in for the opening time today. Will Goss slipping back. Drew Fast trying to get underneath that 82 car. Those two side by side, trying to find a way around the 101 of Taylor Stallworthy. But at the line, leading the first green flag lap of the afternoon is Vincenzo Focusato. Paulo Hyde, Dunlaprade round out the podium. Tyler Stallhood and RJ Bishop, your top 5. Nikki Conti, the starting 6. And Corey Stallhood nearly took the front end of Emi Schizzato, as Schizzato trying to make her way back up through the pack. Really good run for the 81 so far throughout this green flag run. A little bit of a stack up there for the other Stallhood brother. Tyler trying to gather his bearings. He's got a rear end full of RJ Bishop. RJ trying to find a way around that one, the number 1 car. We'll take a look on board with RJ Bishop. He nearly got into the back end through turn 6. Off towards turn number 8. Trying to find a ledge on that 1 car. Not able to get anything there on that number 1 Dodge. Down east side way they go. Oh, very big lockup. Very big lockup, and nosing into the tire barriers is RJ Bishop. You could hear that car locking up from a mile away, and RJ Bishop with a ton of front end damage. He's going to get out of the way of everybody, but that's going to be the end of his competitive race, and we saw that with the POV shot. That is not what you wanted, and he's going to bring that Cottonelle Chevrolet down the pit lane. He was running in the 5th position at the time. Everybody will move up a spot, and that will likely be the end of the afternoon. For that at 48, and now Tyler Stallhood around in front of everybody. He's going to nosy his way out of the racing groove. Stallhood was running in 4th, As like Durbin trying to find a way around him. Now Trek Togger into the wall. Oh, and contact between the 1 and the 83 of Blake Warren, and that's going to result in another caution, I believe. That was a multi, and the caution flag will, in fact, come out. So drama inside the top 5 as 2 drivers who were running in 5th and 4th respectively both find issues within the same part of piece of real estate. Time frame wise, Blake Warren goes into the wall and he clipped the tire barriers there. So now that is 2 as James Moore, oh, he is got to be towed back. He was in the tire barriers. RJ able to get some repairs on the 48 as Anthony Luckady was pulled the 13 behind the wall. And Warren Wentz Racing not having a good afternoon. Corbin Wentz already retired from the race. Blake Warren in the wall. And we saw what happened to RJ Bishop live on track. And Will Goss also having some issues as once again Warren Wentz Racing related cars. All but one of them having them issues as Grant Warren still looking pretty strong out there in the 7th spot. But we're back under the yellow flag. I mean, Schizzato, how about this 97 back inside the top 5? And Vincenzo Focusato, what happened to Vin? I believe he may have been passed for the race lead as we're paying attention to what happened with the 48 and the 1 cars. So we definitely have a lot to review. And we're going to go ahead and review as much as we can. We'll take a look, starting off with what happened with RJ Bishop on lap number 8. That's where everything really got started. It was battling in that 5th spot along with the 1 of Tyler Stallhood. And this is where all the trouble really kicked off. You can watch this 48. He's just trying to brake as late as possible. And you can see he completely skidded that car, avoided the first set of tire barriers, couldn't avoid the second set. Fortunately, was able to drive out of the way. He nearly got cold clocked by Taylor Stallworthy, who nearly ran into the 82. And down the pit lane went RJ, back for the race lead. Apollo Hyde did get around the 74 of LaPrade. And I believe she probably got around Vincenzo Focusato before the caution flag came out. She broke a lot later through the corner than the 37. And Stallhood, oh, he just slid the back end there. Hit the tire barriers, tried to get out of the way, spun the car. And that was right in front of everybody in this small alleyway. That Blink 182 car just in the middle of the road. Trek Togger into the wall. And Blake Warren, he had nowhere to go. The caution flag finally comes out in that area. It's still waiting for the caution flag to come out. The caution flag was out, and Vincenzo Focusato did have the lead. So I'm a little bit surprised to why Apollo Hyde was the leader. I don't believe we're racing things back to the line. I believe the field is frozen. So I'll have to see what happened here, if anything happened. I don't know. I guess we might be racing it back to the line. Based on the precedent here. I mean, it's not going to matter because most of the field is going to come down the pit lane. It's all but... I think everybody has come down the pit lane. Caution flag is going to be undisplayed as we're going to have 14 laps to go once we go back through the gears. 19 cars still out on track. James Moore currently, I believe he is 1 lap down, trying to get to the back end of the grid as everybody filing back up over in turn number 9. Moore's going to be way behind the pace. Same thing with the 84 of Bennett. Bennett might catch up to the tail end of the grid. Chinza Focusato a little bit wide as everybody will double up. It'll be Corey Stallhood who will be starting out front with RJ Bishop to his outside, and RJ, not sure what the deal is there. There is Corey down to the inside, and those two will be in the front row. Once we go back through the gears, here we go. Green flag back out and away. How can RJ Bishop handle that ill-handling race car? She's back up front after nosing it into the tire barrier. Here comes LaPrade trying to fan out. Nearly caught the quarter panel of the 81 car, and back through the alleyway they go towards the aquarium. Hyde underneath the 74. Nearly got into the shrubs there in front of the water fountain. As everybody racing through this tight corridor. Nicky Conti trying to find a way around the 37 of Focusato, and Corey Stallhood into the wall, and RJ Bishop clear out and away of everybody as we got 3 wide for second. Stallhood nearly in the middle of that spot there between LaPrade and Hyde. LaPrade got into the back end of the 81 just a smidge off the corner. LaPrade trying to find a way around these drivers. You're on board with Dunn LaPrade's 74 car. He and Apollo Hyde looking to mash their way around this 81 of Corey Stallhood. Hyde will get around the 81. Looking to do the same thing as LaPrade, and on those older tires, Corey Stallhood's starting to be swallowed up more and more as Hyde will move into second. LaPrade will move into third. Wide exit there for LaPrade. That's going to allow Hyde to pull away from him. And RJ Bishop, how about this? 2 laps led on the afternoon. And he has got a relatively decent-sized lead over Apollo Hyde. Again, they've got about the same level of tire wear. I just don't know when it comes to Apollo Hyde nitro circusing that car through the aquarium. And she is caught back up to the back end of the 48. And this is going to be a big battle here for the race lead as LaPrade got into the wall. Corey Stallhood and Will Goss into the tire barriers. Just hitting the sides of their cars. No harm, no foul for the race lead. Not able to grab a ledge was the 100. And this has been Apollo's best area of the racetrack. But you can't get too aggressive, especially this early in a run. See what Apollo is able to do going through turn number 9. This is where RJ nearly threw the race away a handful of laps ago, and he goes a little bit wide through the corner trying to set himself up for a better turn 10. Here's Apollo with a dive into turn number 10. Side by side, she's going to try to have the outside lane, not able to do there. Transitions down to the inside, nearly ran to the back end of the 48. I believe she's going to have the straightaway speed. Hyde right on the back end of RJ Bishop. These two battling as we're past the halfway point in this race. Still a lot of time to go. But Apollo Hyde closing in, and Dunn LaPrade not out of the woods yet, too. Not letting these guys out of the woods yet. And again, you go back to all of the battles we've had on the road courses over on the Fuel Sportsman side of things between Dunn LaPrade and Apollo Hyde. These two love the road courses, and the caution flag has come out. And it is Corey Stallhood who looks to have gained mortal damage in turn number 1, and that is going to quell things up front for the lead. So the yellow flag will fly. And RJ Bishop, I believe, the way these guys are still running, I believe we are racing it back to the caution flag. Hyde's got the inside of RJ this time around. Dunn looking around the corner. They're going to be side by side. LaPrade nearly spins off the turn. And RJ Bishop will lead them back to the start-finish line with 11 laps to go. And everybody else will mosey their way back towards the start-finish line too. And a tough break for Corey Stallhood. Restarted up in the lead. Didn't get the lap led, as that lap led went to RJ Bishop off of the restart, but already under caution number 4 of the night in that 81 MSD car. Smoking like Kramer, unfortunately. As the field will come back around, and RJ Bishop will lead them potentially down the pit lane. We'll take a quick look at what happened to put us under caution flag number 4 of the night. And this was right in turn number 1, I believe. He was running relatively up as somebody went around in front of all these drivers. He spun around into Will Goss, nosed it in and hard into the back end. So that's where the multi came out. Not sure who spun in front of these guys. It may have been Tyler Stolworthy or Drew Fast. We'll get another look. We'll see who locked up the brakes first, because this is definitely a chain reaction crash. Oh, it was actually Emi Schizzato trying to scrub off speed. So Schizzato's scrubbing off speed in front of these drivers. So that's where the initial smoke came from, and this was completely separate. Corey just gets into Will, and I think that destroyed the rear clip of that 81 car. And nothing these drivers could really do. And Rich Roy, he'll also pull behind the wall as Stallhood. It was a camshaft failure that ultimately takes the 81 car out of the race. And here we go, back down the pit lane. Dunlap, he's going to give up some track position to come down the pit. Same thing with Conti, Taylor Stolworthy, Drew Fast, Emi Schizzato, and others. Why not come down the pit lane, get some fresh rubber, because we're going to get this race restarted with 9 to go. And it is going to be interesting to see these guys come up through the pack. 4 cars all stay out. Make that 5. I can't count, ladies and gentlemen. RJ Bishop, who nosed his car into the pit wall, looking for an a la Chase Elliott moment. Apollo Hyde looking for her 2nd win of the season and trying to widen her points gap over Will Goss, who has struggled throughout this race. Vincenzo Focusato looking for win number 1 of season number 9. Tyler Stallhood trying to do the same thing in that car, as he caused the caution for caution number 3. Grant Warren, so far without a scratch in this race for the 5 cars that all stayed out. We'll have to see how older tires will fare with newer tires and how this restart is really going to shake out. I really think that this restart is Apollo Hyde's to lose, because that straightaway speed on the 48, it isn't terrible. There's certainly a relative problem with that 48 car's engine. I think just getting up to speed, that's going to be right in the ballpark of Apollo Hyde's category. I don't know. We do know that this is going to be a ton of fun. It always is here. And the fun doesn't stop tonight as we take a look at our upcoming broadcast schedule. Got the Duncan Month of Speed debuting tomorrow night here on the North American Sim Racing Network. The Hillside International Speedway, that's a doubleheader tomorrow night as well as Saturday afternoon from Hillside. Then it's a doubleheader on Sunday, June 21st for the Fuel Sportsman Series, a tape delay broadcast for the season finale, as well as the NR2003 debut of the Qualcomm Navy Base Speedway here on YouTube for the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series. More on that later tonight, but the green flag back out and away. Hyde will get the jump on the restart of the inside of RJ Bishop as they fan out nearly 3 wide through the opening corner. Stallhood trying to back that 1 car down, and it's Apollo Hyde who leads. RJ loose there going through turn 1. Everybody making their way through. Will Goss, an ace racer, some contact going through the fountain. They're able to hold off for now as everybody looking to check out away from everybody. Here's Dunlap, first car on those fresh tires, trying to cut his way around everybody, trying to find a way around Tyler Stallhood. Got Vincenzo Focusato up in here as well in 3rd, and Apollo Hyde trying to drive away from everybody in that 48, but RJ Bishop not letting that 100 get away. 9 to go, it'll be 8 laps to go this next time by. RJ looking to outbreak the 100. Trying to find a way around. He might have a ledge, just not able to get the power down through 10. Hyde wide through turn 10's exit. Trying to get around through 11, not able to put the back end of the bumper of the 100. He gets into the wall. Same thing with Stolhood and Focusato. Had out front, 8 laps led on the night for the current points leader and the defending series champion. RJ Bishop starting to lose a little bit of ground to Hyde Subaru. We'll have to see if that damage is really starting to affect him. But he's just trying to race that 48 car as hard as he can. Prod currently caboosing this 5-car breakaway as everybody trying to make their way through. Some contact, Drew fast, he gets put into the tire barrier. How about a 2-for-1 Saturday or Wednesday night special? Semi Schizzato saying thank you very much and gets around both the 4 and the 33. It's like Durbin pounds the wall out of turn 5. Starting to make her way up through the grid is the 97 of Schizzato. Nikki Conti falling back in the 85, that Hot Topic Ford into the wall. Will Goss, Taylor Stolworthy making their way up. They're currently 6th and 7th, and for the race lead, RJ Bishop back out front, looking for the crossover is Hyde through turn 9. Through turn 10, she'll have the inside lane through 11. They're back door to door, and Vincenzo Focusato trying to make this a 3-horse race for the race lead. He's going to be on the back end of Apollo Hyde. These heavy stock cars trying to lumber around the street course with 7 laps to go, and Apollo Hyde retains the race lead going back towards turn 1. RJ is not done yet. He's trying to outbrake the 100 even more. Here he is on the inside, sliding around through the corner, and just into the tire barrier goes Tyler Stolhood. He's back sideways around the alleyway once again. This time he throws the car into reverse and noses it in to the tire barrier. RJ wide through the corner. Vincenzo Focusato will take the inside. Same thing with Dunlop-Rod. And that 48 car, he's lost a lot of ground, and Dunlop-Rod trying to take 2 spots away. He will do so, looking for the crossover is Vin. Focusato in a battle there with Dunlop-Rod. Dun's gonna have the inside lane over Vincenzo going through turn 8. And make it a 4-car breakaway. Trying to regather himself was Tyler Stolhood. Same exact thing that happened earlier on in the race, and this time it's a lot more detrimental in terms of the cosmetic wear on that car, as he will fall all the way down to 11th, running in 4th at the time of the caution, the accident. And with 6 laps to go, we are in for a good old-fashioned bar fight here on a Wednesday night of the Fuel Grand National Series. Dunlop-Rod has the advantage in the tire wear department, but Apollo Hyde pulling away from that Schaefer Group Camaro. Prod not trying to allow Hyde to gain too much ground as they go around the aquarium once more. Back towards turn 4 and turn 5, and LaPrade gaining a lot of ground that time around. Trying to make his move as we'll go on board with the 74 once again. A little bit wide, swinging the back end throughout the corner there through turn 7 was Hyde. Here comes LaPrade. These two drivers know that they cannot make a mistake with one of them behind each other, and Dunn nearly in a jump on the brakes to avoid pile drive in the 100. Back down Seaside Way go the leaders. Focusato and Bishop still with these drivers. And LaPrade keeping Apollo honest. Dunn's gonna have the inside going through 11, not quite able to ledge there just yet. Had to jump on the brakes to avoid hitting Hyde once more. Apollo back under the Toyota bridge, coming around to 5, count 'em 5 laps to go, and Dunlop-Rod hot on the heels of this 100 machine. We have had 4 different winners so far in season 9. Dunlop-Rod trying to become different winner number 5. He's to the inside of Apollo Hyde. They're side by side around the aquarium place. He nearly forces the 100 into the bushes. Hyde nearly forces LaPrade in the tire barriers. Apollo trying to hold on, Dunn trying to hold serve, Vincenzo Focusato driving it in deep like a deep dish pizza. He is going to make this a 3-way battle for the lead as these two still side by side, and the caution flag is out. With 5 laps to go, Taylor Stolworthy has gone around along with Trek Togger, and the caution flag is out for the 5th time tonight. And as per the rules on the road courses, the point of no return is 3 laps to go instead of the traditional 5 on the ovals, and we are gonna get a restart. I believe it will be a green-white checkered finish for all the marbles here at Long Beach. And Dunlop, he's going to be credited with the race lead at the time of the caution. And this is absolutely huge. So Leprod will be the race leader. Hyde will be relegated back to second. And now the question is, do you come down the pit lane at all? Or do you stay out since we're only getting a 2-lap dash? If I'm done, or really if I'm anybody inside this top 3, I'm staying out. For RJ Bishop, I don't know. It's a little touch and go. And for Taylor Stolworthy, actually Blake Warren is a lap down, I believe. Trying to see where Stolworthy, he's currently a lap down as well, too, I believe. He is. So we'll see what happened to put us under the caution flag. I believe it was Stolworthy who was running inside the 5th spot at the time. And this was a little further back, going into turn 1. Stolworthy, a wheel hop, gets into the 4. They bang off of one another, and nosing that car hard into the tire barriers. I believe that was, I don't know if that was the cause of the caution. Stolworthy was trying to drive around. Oh, so Ike Durbin, he may have went around there. There was Blake Warren. Actually, did Blake Warren... I'm trying to see what the cause of the caution was, because right now, these two were battling it out. Taylor was still laboring. I'm trying to see where the multi indeed was. At the point of caution. So trying to see when the caution flag did come out. That was actually a lap later. I don't know. I am genuinely baffled. So trying to see when the caution flag does initially fly. Oh, I see it. Coming down to the front straightaway. You're going to see it here. Ace Racer and Tyler Stallhood got together. And that brings out the caution flag with 5 laps to go. That was towards the back end of the grid, and they were battling for the 12th spot at the time. But now that we figured it out, here we are, and Apollo Hyde came down the pit lane. Same thing with RJ Bishop. Dunlop, Vincenzo Focasato, and Emi Schizzato staying out. And this is huge. So by the looks of it, the top 8 cars all stayed out on track. Top 7 cars, I should say. And it will be a 2-lap dash to the end. Dunlop will be the leader. Vincenzo Focasato in second. Emi Schizzato, who has been up and down the grid like a pendulum all evening, will restart in third. Will Goss, who has had the same thing as Schizzato, will restart in fourth. Drew Fast will restart in the 5th spot, with Nicky Conti, Grant Warren restarting in 6th and 7th, respectively. James Moore also staying out. Same thing with Ike Durbin and Apollo Hyde. Deep, deep, deep in the back of the field with the drivers that came down the pit lane. And this is gonna get hairy. No cautions from here on out. It is all or nothing with a win on the streets of Long Beach, California at the line. Dunlop trying to become the 5th different winner this season. Same thing with all these drivers aside from Will Goss up inside the top 10. It'll be sticks high in the air. Just under 4 miles remain here on a Wednesday night. Waiting the green flag out and away is Dunlop. He will get the restart. Green flag back out and away, and a great restart for Laprade, a great restart for Will Goss as well. They thunder off towards turn 1 for the semi-penultimate time. Goss right behind the 74, side by side back in here as Vincenzo Focasato didn't get a great restart. Grant Warren into the wall, he's gonna fall back, and Will Goss starting to drive that 82 car up through the pack. Ike Durbin, he just about goes around in the 86, no caution flags for the entire race. Emi Schizzado's starting to lose a little bit of ground, and Dunlop trying to gain ground on everybody with a lap and a half remaining. Nicky Conti looking to get inside the podium. Vincenzo Focasato looking for a decent run. And Apollo Hyde, she's only gotten around 1 car so far. Make it around 2, make it around 3. I don't know if she's going to have enough time to get to the front, though. Laprade through turns 9 through 11 for the penultimate time. And Will Goss starting to fall back in the 82. Everybody trying to get around everybody. Drew Fast starting to drive his way up through the pack on those 4 Goodyear tires. But off turn 11. For the semi-final time, white flag in the air. One more time around the streets of Long Beach for Dunlop. He has had to survive his fair share of chaos all afternoon. Gets through turn number 1 with ease. He's got about 8 or 9 car lengths on the 82 of Will Goss, and it's a full-on bar fight for third. Conti, Focasato, Fast, and RJ Bishop all in contention to get that final podium spot. Focasato looks to have the best of them. Laprade, he had a second lead over Will Goss that last time by. And I think those fresher tires that Laprade got on that second to final caution flag are starting to pay dividends. Driving around through the corner, he missed last week's race at Pocono, and through the opening 2 races of the season, had an average finish of 2. Struggled at Michigan, missed last week, fell down in the point standings a little bit, but through the final 3 corners, has 1 more corner to go, and he's home free down East Shoreline Drive. What a drive for Dunlop, and he's going to bring that 74 Camaro and the Schaefer Group to victory lane. Dunlop becomes the 5th different winner in Season 9. He wins race 5 on the streets of Long Beach. Will Goss will get second. Vincenzo Focasato will get third. And it was chaos in the back as Tyler Stolthood in the back end of the grid. As Dunlop gets his first win of the season. 5 races in Season 9, 5 different winners. And this has certainly been brewing all season long throughout those opening 2 weeks of the season where Laprade seemed like he could not be beat by anything more than a couple tenths of a second. James Moore, his fast competitive driver, along with Drew Fast, giving him some love taps there for Laprade. Will gain. See if we can find the record book. See which win this will be for Dunlop. And looking to get into the fuel drive as Dunn will try and start to burn out a little bit here. For Dunlop, it will be his 6th career win in the Fuel Grand National Series. First of season number 9, had 2 wins last year. And here he is on the front straightaway. He is going to burn it down. Dunlop going to do his best John Force impression down the front straightaway here in California. He is your winner of the Fuel Grand Prix of Long Beach. Five laps led on the afternoon. In the evening for Dunlaprod, Apollo Hyde, who led 11 laps on the night, will finish in 15th after a last lap crash. We'll take a look at it before we get to our post-race interviews. But what a drive for Dunlaprod. He started this race midway through the grid, and he is going to still try and get this celebration going here. Trying to keep the celebration going. You know what? He did a full-on burnout for about half a mile throughout the entirety of East Shoreline Drive. He is still trying to burn the back rubber out. There he goes. There he goes around. There goes the Goodyears in the back. And that will be the end of his burnout, and that will be the end of our race portion of the night here tonight for tonight's broadcast of the Fuel Grand National Series. But we are not going anywhere for long, as here in just a few moments we're going to go ahead and get our post-race interviews conducted here, as you'll hear from Vincenzo Focusato, Drew Fast, and your winner Vincenzo Focusato, Will Goss, and your race winner Dunlaprod. Here tonight after a wild race at Long Beach, where Dunlaprod gets the job done for his first win of the season here tonight.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me double shot inside.
And we are back here in Long Beach, California, wrapping up an incredible race on the streets of Long Beach. Here to wrap up race number 5 of season number 9 of the Fuel Grand National Series here on the North American Sim Racing Network. Trey right on the call here for the NESRN. And before we get things underway, we'll take a look and see what happened for their final incident of the night on the last lap, and this could have championship implications written all over it. Take a look at what happened, as unfortunately we had 2 different tracks playing there at the same time. But we'll take a look at our replay to see what happened. It started with Emi Schizzato and Apollo Hyde in turn number 1. Hyde, just driving it way too deep, caught the quarter panel of the 97. Spun that car around back in front of everybody. And Tyler Stoll, he goes flipsing upside down. That puts take off your pants and jacket to a whole new meaning. And that's what happened with Tyler Stoll that put him out of the running. Same thing with Apollo Hyde, who ended up finishing 15th after it was all said and done in this race. But it was Dunleprod leading 7 laps on the day to gain his 6th career win here in the Fuel Grand National Series. We'll talk with these drivers in just one moment, once we get everything situated here for our post-race interviews. We'll talk with all these drivers. We'll open things up here in a moment. And starting off our interviews here tonight with our 3rd place finisher, driver of the number 37 Marino Mazda, or Marino Mazda from Millennium Autosport, Mr. Vincenzo Focusati. Got a copy of us here in the broadcast booth? Well, that was certainly a very eventful race from pretty much start to finish, and you started around where you finished around where you started. You started in 2nd, finished 1 spot back in 3rd, but given how tight of a field we had inside the top 5, I think you'll definitely take it.
Yeah, at 100%. My only goal, I know that I've said this more than a few times in the past, but with how it's a street circuit, there's absolutely no room for error, and any overshoot, any overdrive will be punished. And I just didn't want to. I didn't want to go for an extra 10th and lose an entire race over it. So I just wanted to make sure I didn't hit anyone, and I admittedly got way closer than I wanted to a few times out there, but a little bit of luck never hurt, and managed to bring it home in one piece. And I'm glad that I was able to do so, because frankly, I was way closer to everyone else than I thought I was going to be the whole time, with how strong that Apollo and Dunn and RJ always are at the road courses. So the fact that I was up there made for a really fun series of race-long dicey battles that I wasn't actually prepared to be in. So I had a great time out there tonight.
Yeah, and it looks like by the sound of everybody had a pretty fun time here tonight. And Long Beach, like you're talking about, it's a street course. There is a very limited amount of experience you can really get here. And going back to a race we had on the streets of Chicago last year, where it seemed like not a whole lot of people could gain a really good handle of that track, compared to tonight, we only had 5 cautions for incident compared to the 8 I think we had at Chicago last year. It seems like everybody is really starting to nail these street courses down. It's still a lot of room for improvement, but overall, how do you feel like you did here tonight, especially given the circumstances of just it's open season at these street courses?
Yeah, I'm not trying to speak too highly of myself, but I really feel like I did as much as I could have. Like I said, the goal was to not hit anything, and I pulled that off. And as long as I can check that box, I'm happy with how the race went. So, yeah, I'm especially after screwing up so outrageously, embarrassingly badly last week at Pocono. I really wanted to um, sort of get my head back on straight and uh, take my own advice seriously again, and see where I end up, like I try to do most weeks. And it turned out really well here, and I'm really glad that I got to battle Apollo and Dunn and RJ for so much of that race, because um, I've never had the chance to race. Uh, Nikki Conti's league came here before, but there are a lot of bots in that league. I've never had like 100% online stock car race at Long Beach, so that's something that's been a long time coming. And to be honest, it was way more fun than I thought it was going to be. Everybody loves this track; it's one of the world's best. But I wasn't prepared for such close quarters, back and forth racing throughout basically every turn. I hope it was a, I hope it was a good show from up in the booth, because it was a grand old time from behind the wheel.
Absolutely was a grand old time to watch you guys duking it out there, and you guys were battling these cars. And again, this is a track that is made specifically for open wheel racing. It's very tight. There's not a whole lot of room for these heavy stock cars to really lumber around, but you guys put on an absolute show. We're putting on a spectacle out there, especially for that battle for the win late in the running. But we talk about tracks where they're not really meant for stock cars. I don't know what kind of car Bent Twig is made for as we're going there next week. You know, looking ahead to the final race of our kind of three race stretch of weird tracks. We had Pocono last week, Long Beach tonight, and Bent Twig, which is the crazy track, the meme track to end all meme tracks. Do you have any expectations for next week, or are you just trying to survive?
Fun. that's what I'm. That's what I'm expecting. I've raced there once before. It was 8 years ago. Wow, it's been a long time, but that was one of the most fun races I've ever had in my life. It's such an unnatural feeling throwing your car over those, I don't even know whether to call them hills or bumps. The track's such an anomaly, but I'm really excited for that. And I really can't say anything more than that. It's going to be a great time. Meme or not, it's going to be a fun meme. So everyone tune in for that. I hope we can uh, put on another good race and have a good time out there, because I'm really looking forward to it.
We're looking forward to it a lot. That's going to be next Wednesday night here at 8:50 here on the North American Sim Racing Network. And that's going to be a ton of fun for darn sure. But Vincenzo, you know the drill. We'll give you the floor to thank any sponsors you want. If there's anybody else that you want to shout out here on the NASRN airwaves for a third place finisher this evening on the streets of Long Beach, Vincenzo Focusado, the floor is yours, my man.
Well, first of all, shout out Dunn for an outstanding victory. Uh, Absolutely hilarious. Uh, neither Dunn nor Will Goss were even in the server. They hadn't even touched the track, let alone practiced by the time that we got to qualifying. Guess where those two cars finished? They did an
Sounds about right.
incredible job. Yeah, they did an outstanding job. So props to them for their victory and their runner-up finish. Um, and then thank you all to everyone else, again, Apollo and RJ and everyone who was around me, because despite how sort of bull in china shop the racing was, nobody hit me at any point. And mad respect to everyone for doing what they always do and treating me, racing me cleanly and treating me with a lot more respect than I feel like I've given them sometimes. I want to do my best to return it to them as best I can. Um, Thank you and Kenny for another good show tonight. I think Kenny was in here earlier, so thank you guys as always for the professional grade production that you put on and give us a chance to watch. Tyler, Apollo, and Ike for running the show. Uh, Shout out to Thomas on the off chance that he's watching. Thank you for giving me the chance to attend the Long Beach Grand Prix 2 months ago. I added this to the list of tracks I attended in April, and it was an absolutely wonderful experience. So, shout out to him for giving me the chance to witness a bona fide car race here. Um, Lecklider. I don't know if you're watching this, Lecklider, but shout out to you as well. And thanks, I guess, for the inadvertent and unintentional inspiration that you gave me to make this car. I debuted what was intended to be my music car tonight. So we got Gigi Marin and Popo on the side, and I'm really happy with how that livery turned out. So I'm glad I could give it a good result. So I hope you enjoyed watching that if you're here, Lecklider. And shout out as well to Cameron and Alan. Or wow, I'm so sorry. They're gonna absolutely have their way with me over that one. Thank you to Cameron and to Andrew. Couldn't do it without you
We'll
guys.
edit out in post.
There we go. Appreciate it, Trey. Saving my neck.
Well, it's
But yeah,
always a
that's
pleasure.
everyone.
It's always a pleasure to talk with you, Vincenzo, after these races. Yet another podium finish for you here in season number 9. And next week, it's going to be a little bit difficult. You do have some experience racing online at Bent Twig. It's going to be a lot of fun for everybody to try and traverse next week. But we'll look forward to seeing you next week, and take care. Try and learn the track as best as you can. And we'll see you next week for what's going to be one of the best races of the season, I feel like.
Gonna be a ball. See you there. And thank you once more, Trey.
Have a good night, man. Thank you.
You too.
User was moved
That was
out of your
Vincenzo
channel.
Focusato, driver of the number 37 Marino Mazda from Millennium Autosport, your third place finisher here in the Fuel Grand Prix of Long Beach. Time to bring in our runner-up finisher, driver
User was moved
of
to
the
your
number
channel.
82 Supercuts Camaro. Finally able to see this car out here in the post-race, but Will Goss, you got a copy of us here in the broadcast booth?
I sure do, man. How we doing?
We're doing pretty well, and you definitely had a very up and down race throughout the entirety. You started up more towards the front of the field. Actually, you started midway through the field, and Vincenzo was telling me that you and Dunn didn't really touch this track at all in practice, didn't really get a whole lot of experience with it prior to tonight. And lo and behold, you and Dunn finished 1-2 on the grid. Congratulations on a hard-fought second-place finish.
Well, thank you for that. The lack of practice certainly wasn't for a lack of trying. I worked a very long job today, and I literally got home like right as Q was about to end. There's maybe like a minute or so left of that, or like the practice beforehand was about to end. So I kind of got in right at the shot clock, and RJ hooked me up with a pretty good setup, and I just put it down and did the best I could. And honestly, sometimes a lot of road course racing is just about survival, and that's pretty much how I got here.
And it definitely was. And you started this race more towards the middle of the pack, and it looked like you were struggling a little bit earlier on with your setup. Is there anything that you changed throughout the race that really helped you dial in your car, or is there just trying to survive to the end like you were talking about?
I guess it was more of like a driving style change. Having no practice, like I kind of had to find the edge of the car. Like a lot of the times early, I locked up, and I think when Drew got into the wall and that right-hander going like right before you take the really sharp right-hander back onto the front straightaway, like I pretty much just followed him straight into the wall, and I thought me going in the tires would end my day, but the engine kept kicking and we just kept on going, and I just kept it in one piece from then on out and just tried not to destroy the car pretty much, and yeah, it got me second in the end.
Hey, that's all you can ask for. A solid runner-up finish, especially given this points battle where I believe with this finish and Apollo Hyde's finish down to 15th, you will be the points leader coming out of today. But going into that finish, that final two-lap dash where you and Dunn both sitting on the front row, Dunn's got slightly fresher tires than you. Do you feel like there's anything you could have done on that restart to try and get him there in that final two laps, or do you think you gave it all you could get?
I pretty much was just doing whatever I can to keep the car in one piece just to make sure I could get to the end. I got a pretty good jump on that restart with, I think it was 2 to go that we only had there. And I just did my best to just keep it out in front and just kind of not even look back, just pretend Dunn wasn't even really there. And I just wanted to get the car home and just walk away with second. I don't know what happened to Apollo. I saw they pit right before that caution or during that caution. And I thought right then and there was pretty much like a good chance just to pick up some points today. And I guess that plan ended up working out.
It definitely did, and we'll wait to see the official results here of this points battle. But going to next week, you're really just throwing points out the window when it comes to what we've got on tap. Bent Twig, the meme track of all meme tracks on the Season 9 slate. It's been a lot of mixed feelings in the garage area about next week. What are you looking forward to for next week if you're going to end up racing? And, Bent Twig, do you have any experience in yourself? And if so, do you think that gives you a competitive edge over everybody else?
I honestly don't remember if I've raced that. That name is very familiar to me, so I feel like I probably at one point I've touched it, but I honestly couldn't tell you a whole lot about it. I like just before this interview, I did watch a video just to kind of refresh my memory, and it looks insane. So I'm just hoping that I can bring a good setup to that track and just kind of continue this the top 5 streak I was on right now. didn't expect to get a top 5 today, let alone second place. But shoot, I mean, I'll walk away with that anytime.
You absolutely will. And I just saw the message you put in the GN chat. What the hell is the polar bear doing in Arlington, Texas, or even Long Beach, California? But hey, you've been really good so far to start this season. You're gonna be the points leader coming out of it, and overall in a pretty good spot. 5 races into the 11 race slate, I would say so. But Will, you know the score by now. We'll give you the floor to thank anybody that you want. If there's any sponsors you want to shout out here on the NASRN. For our runner-up finisher tonight at the Grand Prix of Long Beach, Mr. Will Goss, the floor is yours.
As always, shout out to Warhorse Racing for giving me this opportunity. RJ Bishop for giving me the setup very last minute to keep me competitive in this race and get me the second place finish. Power Slam Pro Wrestling, as always, if you're in the area, New Philadelphia, Ohio, please come to the Newtown Mall. Check out our shows, usually every Sunday or so during the month, only like $10 to $15. So come check out a really fun wrestling show. Of course, thank you to you, Trey, for having the broadcast every week and giving me an opportunity to, I guess, just talk about racing after a fun little race here. And thank you to Fuel for hosting the league.
Definitely, it was a fun race here tonight. I think everybody pretty much enjoyed it with this certain style of racing we've got here, with the short, rather, the street courses that we had here tonight. I think everybody had a pretty good time. You had a pretty good time as well, and congratulations on a second place run. We'll see you next week at Ben Twig. It's going to be a fun one, that's for sure.
Yeah, thanks again. Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. That's the least you could say.
Well, have a good night, Will, and we'll see you next week over at Bent Twig. Until then, we'll see you later.
Yeah, see you later. Good night.
Good night.
User was
That was
moved
Will
out of your
Goss, driver of
channel.
number 82 Supercuts Chevy Camaro for Warhorse Racing. Second place finisher here tonight in that 82 machine, and it's time to bring in our man of the hour,
User was moved
driver
to your
of the
channel.
number 74, the Schaefer Group. Chevy Camaro for La Prada Enterprises. Done La Prada. You got a copy of us here in the broadcast booth?
Yep, I do.
Well, we went from not even being sure if you were going to end up in tonight's race to you beating the pants off everybody with those fresher tires in the end to claim your first victory of Season 9 and your 6th career Grand National victory. First and foremost, congratulations on a hard-fought win here tonight in Long Beach.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know what it is about this particular track, but every time I show up to this track, I just always have this. It's always giving me magic of some sort. I mean, I know it's just down south of LA, so it kind of makes sense, if you will. So, I kind of had no intentions to show up tonight, but last minute change of plans and kind of worked out into my favor. And qualified in practice, I felt like I was fairly good. I don't know if I had the waiting speed, but I felt confident to get a top 3 finish. I kind of wasn't anticipating a win, but despite having, I kind of wasn't anticipating the win just because I had no practice at all. But it is what it is. I mean, it kind of worked out into my favor. Having won at this track 2 times before then, and being one of my favorite race tracks to go to, it kind of makes it easier for me, as I gotten ready for this race.
It definitely was, and especially after all the hot start that you had to start Season 9 with the third place run at Charlotte and a runner-up finish at Nashville, but then tapering off a little bit with the struggles at Michigan and same thing at Pocono. But coming into tonight, you fell a little bit in the point standings. You definitely needed a good run, and you mentioned it. You've had success here at Long Beach before. These street courses like Long Beach, like Chicago, like we'll hopefully see here in a couple of months, and even just a couple of days at San Diego, street courses vary a lot different from other road courses, and certainly from the ovals we're accustomed to running here in the Grand National Series. But, what is it about Long Beach that really sets everything apart from the other street courses where we see a lot of drivers really struggle?
I think it's I feel like Long Beach is kind of one of those tracks that's kind of a free for all for a lot of people. I feel like that everybody can run very well at this track. I mean, we had 5, 6, 7, 8 different drivers, having a shot at the win tonight. And it's just kind of one of those tracks that I think everybody loves to win at, just because it's Long Beach. It's one of the most historic street circuits, in the United States, especially the IndyCar side of things. So, I think everybody definitely wants to win this race because of how it's kind of got that historic factor to it. I think just the longevity of it, and really kind of what the track means for everyone. So, just to it's definitely a tough track to win for sure. Don't get me wrong on that. It certainly did not come easy to try to fend off Will, Nikki, Apollo, RJ, Vincenzo, and others for the win tonight. But that's just Long Beach, man. Everybody wants to win this race really bad.
Everybody did, and we saw like just a bunch of drivers up towards the front. We had a solid 4 or 5 car pack there midway through between yourself, Tyler Stallhood, R.J. Bishop, Apollo, and trying to remember who else. I think Emmy Schizato was also in that pack. But walk us through that final restart. We've got the freshest rubber of anybody towards the front of the field. The top 8 drivers stay out, and you've got Will Goss, one of the best in the business, and was also have that same experience on track with you, right beside you. To walk us through that final restart and just anything that you really did think that you did well enough to really distance yourself from everybody else.
I felt like that my strongest suit tonight was being able to dive bomb. I don't know what everybody else's brake bias was, what their setups were, but for whatever reason, I just felt like that I was better at making dive bombs tonight. I don't know if that was true up from the booth, but it seems like that was my strongest suit tonight. It was able to break a little bit later than other people and make some passes here and there. But yeah, that final restart, I think, with Apollo, going in the pits, that really, it did not, fully ease, the nerves, because you still had, Vinny, Will, Nikki, and others who stayed out, who were right there, eager to win this race, or they were gonna give it 150% to win it for sure. So I had to be on my A game as well. But having Apollo go in the pits there was a big obstacle that that I was able to avoid. Not having to worry about
Deal
for the
with.
restart. So just just really needed to just kind of keep it straight and not make any mistakes. I felt really good about the 2 laps to go restart painting. I think as long as I got through turn 1 and 2, I think that it was pretty much home. I think I was pretty much set home free. I think just getting through those first 2 turns was pretty critical, especially going down into turns 1 and 2, the heavy braking zones, just because of the fact that, if I mean, it's one of those really tricky spots on the track, just really right before you get really that whole section that leads up to the fountain turn, where it just gets smaller and smaller and tighter and tighter and narrower and narrower, that there's really no room for error. So, you know, so as long as I just got through turns 1 and 2 just fine, I got through that whole mountain section just fine. I think I was in a fairly good spot. But then again, I could, you can't be overzealous about it, because you still have to, keep your all 4 tires on the track, and you have to manage your race, because I mean you still have to worry about Will, Vincenzo, Nikki, and others who might have had a shot at the end there. So I didn't want to just push it and just kind of just go ahead and just wing it out. Just once I knew that I had that gap between myself and Will, that all I had to do was just manage it and just just get those, like I said, get through those first 2 turns, and then just work on that gap and really be in a good spot. And 2 laps to go, no caution, so that really obviously, 2 laps, a shootout. It's definitely a lot for people to take in because there's a lot to gain and there's a lot to lose as well. So you definitely always expect for some people to be very aggressive to try to get every single spot possible. Which is why I did not want to pit there because you don't want to get caught up in the middle of that uh, pack, especially with the 2 laps to go. I felt like that my tires, I felt like that I still had a good shot even with a little bit of an older tires. I know that Apollo, RJ, and Vinny and someone else, I think it might have been Tyler, where they went to pit or they did not pit with like 12, 11 laps to go, and I did, and I think that was kind of the difference maker too. I feel like that if I did not pit, I feel like that I probably would not have been able to have a shot with Apollo. I think Apollo was just about even with me. I felt like that I was better than Apollo in the braking zones. I was able to outbrake them a little bit quicker. But I think Apollo was just a lot better than me rolling through the center of the turn. So it just kind of worked out into my favor at the end there.
It definitely did, and you led those final 2 laps to absolute perfection. And like you said, getting through that opening set of corners, especially through turns 1 all the way up until the fountain, was really the most critical point, and really where that was going to be the race right there between you and Will, and you hit your marks perfectly. Were able to get the job done to get your first win of the season. But looking ahead to the next 2 races we've got here, at least on the NASRN, we'll talk a little bit about Bent Twig here in a moment, but this Sunday night, hopefully, the way things have been going, the way things I've been talking with Randall and Tate, it looks like we are going to be getting the first ever race for NR2003, the early version, the early access look at Navy Base Speedway for Naval Base Coronado here for the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series. Your thoughts on that and your expectations on what's going to be a great race. Another street course here plays right into your wheelhouse. Another road course which plays into your wheelhouse as well. What are your thoughts on racing at the very early version of Navy Base Coronado? And then, of course, looking ahead to next Wednesday night, the craziness and the memeness that's going to be Bent Twig.
I felt like that, San Diego is definitely kind of right up my alley with it being a street course, but also an uncharted territory, if you ask me, because nobody has raced at that track before. So it's definitely going to be, I think, probably the most wild card road course I think you'll see all season long, all year long, just because it's a track that no one has raced at before, no one has practiced at before. We just kind of going in, going in a blind, and it should be very exciting. I know that they had the teaser up the track on iRacing. Obviously, it's different than it all, of course, but it's basically the same layout and everything. And from what I've seen and what I understand, it's definitely going to be a very fun track to race on. I'm hoping it'll be a good race for sure, and hopefully that we'll be able to put on a show at a brand new track. If I'm able to make it, I'm hoping to. Personally, I'm excited because it's obviously a new track that's never been made, or a track that no one's ever gone to. It's always really fun to go to an uncharted territory to really challenge yourself. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to be there if possible. Nonetheless, I'm excited for how that race will play out.
It's definitely going to be an exciting amount of racing here on the North American Sim Racing Network, and plenty of exciting racing for everybody in the fuel and fast racing leagues in general here over this next week or so. But done. We'll give you the floor to thank anybody that you want. If there's anybody that you want to shout out here on the NASRN for a race winner tonight for a hard-fought 25-lap event on the streets of Long Beach, California, Don LaPrade, your winner. The floor is yours.
First and foremost, want to shout out to everyone, LGQBT people. This month is Pride Month, so sending my love to each and every single one of y'all. Love y'all. Shout out to you, Trey, for broadcasting the race. Shout out to Tyler Stallhood for the league. Shout out to Apollo Hyde and Ike Durbin as admins. Shout out to everyone who raced in tonight's race. Shout out to everyone who may not have raced tonight, but has raced in other races in this league before. Shout out to them as well. Shout out to everyone watching at home. I hope it was a fun race for all of y'all. Shout out to Team EFR, and shout out to everyone for making me a better driver. And I feel like I'm missing someone, but I'll probably remember the next time or two.
Well, I don't think it's going to be your only win of the season, as you have proven that you are definitely one of the best drivers here in the Fuel Grand National Series, and of course get your 6th career win. Wins are definitely going to be coming a lot here, especially, but given how many drivers we've had here in this season, it's going to be a lot, but if anybody's up to the challenge, it's you, Dunn. I can definitely guarantee it. Congratulations on the win here tonight, man. Go celebrate with your team, and we'll see you Sunday night for the Fast Racing League over up a little bit north here in San Diego, and we'll see you back here for Bent Twig on Wednesday night here for Fuel.
Yes, sir. Thank you all.
Have a good night, man.
Thank you. You go do the same.
User was moved out of your
That was
channel.
Don LePron, driver of the number 74, the Schaefer Group. Lucas Oil, number 74, Chevy Camaro, your race winner here tonight on the streets of Long Beach. Getting the job done here once again in 2026. I almost forgot to mention he's going to be in a dogfight for the championship for the Fuel Sportsman Series here this upcoming weekend, this upcoming Friday night here on the Fuel for the Fuel Racing League, I should say. We'll take a look at our upcoming broadcast schedule before we'll do a top-down order through the field. Like we were talking about, the Duncan Month of Speed kicks off here for the Mission Barbecue Cup Series with a doubleheader at Hillside starting tomorrow night on June 18th. And then recontinuing on June 20th. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but we're going to be having a doubleheader on Sunday afternoon and evening, as the Michigan race for the Fuel Sportsman Series will be tape delayed to Sunday afternoon. That championship battle between Apollo Hyde and Dunlop Rod is going to be a good one. If you want to watch that race live, Tyler Stallhood will likely have the stream of it on Friday night, and we'll have the tape delayed coverage on Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. And then later on that afternoon, live from Naval Base Coronado, it's the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series, our only other race being broadcasted in the regular season, aside from the regular season finale from Atlanta. Here from Navy Base Coronado, that's going to be a boatload of fun. And speaking of boatloads of fun, we've just got a ton of great tracks on the upcoming schedule here for the NASRN. We've got Navy Base Coronado. We've got Hillside coming up. Those were some incredible races. And we've got an incredible race from the Papyrus Motorsports Park coming up. Looking ahead to next weekend's festivities as well for the 3rd race of the Duncan Month of Speed. Plenty of action all around here. We've got Flowmaster Grand Touring Championship action coming up. And we've got a couple other things down the pipeline as well. Announcement-wise, coming up next weekend for what we've got going on over the summer months here on the NASRN, and take a look at the rest of the Season 9 schedule. We got Bent Twig coming up, Chicagoland after that, Anchorage, North Wilkesboro, Indianapolis, and Iowa. The 6 remaining tracks here in 2026, season number 9. Here for the Fuel Grand National Series for this 9th season of Fuel GN competition. But that is going to do it here just about for tonight's broadcast and for tonight's coverage of the Fuel Grand National Series here tonight on the North American Sim Racing Network. And before we'll officially get out of Dodge, we'll do a top-down run through the order here tonight to get things underway. So beginning off with Dunlop Rod, your race winner here tonight for the Fuel Grand Prix of Long Beach, leading 5 laps on the night and winning by 1.851 seconds over second place Will Goss. Third was Vincenzo Focusato. Fourth was the 4 of Drew Fast, and running out the top 5, the 85 of Nicky Conti was 5th. 6th was James Moore, the 04. Didn't really talk about him a whole lot tonight, but he was able to get a nice 6th place finish. 7th was Ike Durbin. 8th was Taylor Stolworthy. 9th was RJ Bishop, who lost 3rd gear. Late on that restart, he got a top 10 finish. Same thing for Grant Warren in the 33. Blake Warren finished 11th. Ace Racer finished in 12th. Emi Schizzato tried to rally back from a late race crash on the final lap of the race to finish in 13th. Crystal Bennett finished 14th, and Apollo Hyde on that last lap crash rounded out the top 15, with Tyler Stallhood finishing in 16th. Truck Tucker was 17th. Rich Roy, first car officially out of the race, in 18th. Corey Stallhood was 19th. Anthony Luckadoo finished in 20th. Corbin Wentz rounded out the 21-car grid to start things off here tonight. And that will do it for tonight's broadcast here of the North American Sim Racing Network's coverage of the Fuel Grand National Series. Next time we'll see the Fuel GNS will be next Wednesday night on June 24th from Bent Twig Raceway for race number 6 of the season. That's going to be a ton of fun. And of course, we've got Navy Base Coronado coming up this Sunday night here for the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series. We've got Championship Sunday from the Michigan International Speedway for the Fuel Sportsman Series. A ton coming up here on the NASRN all throughout this next week. But that'll do it on behalf of Tyler Stallhood, Apollo Hyde, Ike Durbin, all the admins and drivers for the Fuel Racing League. And of course, here for the North American Sim Racing Network, for Kenny Campos, Caleb Rose, and Rich Roy, my name is Trey Wright saying so long from Long Beach, California. This concludes tonight's broadcast of the Fuel Grand National Series here on your home for the Fuel Racing League, the North American Sim Racing Network. Have a good evening, folks. We'll see you all next week for Bent Twig for race number 6 of the season. Until then, have a good night, folks.